also, I should mention, plenty of other Republican senators who publicly are standing by.
And you don't have any concerns about the allegations against him in the New Yorker article, sir?
No, I've looked at all the personal stuff, and again, I've known him for a long time, and I would, there's not going to be anything to this at the end of the day.
What did he tell you about that specifically?
We didn't talk about it. We didn't, no.
You didn't even ask about it?
No, not here.
That's the back and forth there. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's appointees in this early process have had their share of problems. That has to do with the people he's picking, the lack of vetting that he's done, lack of coordination at times with the government, FBI background checks. There's disruption, and then there's just disrupting yourself. And so getting a whole team together here is not something that so far has gone flawlessly. That's putting it charitably. I can show you that Trump's new pick for the DEA, which is an important post, has now also announced today that they are withdrawing. That is the second of top Trump nominees withdrawing, following Matt Gaetz. We're joined by legendary political strategist James Carville, in the flesh, in the gear, LSU, USMC. Welcome back.
Thank you, Art. Thank you. It's good to be in.
Let's start straightforward. There's a range of serious allegations against Hegseth.
Right.
We do journalism here. We report that his lawyer and others have denied them. But they seem to be causing enough concern that at least unnamed Republican senators say they don't support him anymore.
Well, at the bottom of it is alcoholism and sexual harassment. These people never have one drink and they never harass one woman. Okay, you know, and what they got to know, and with the Wall Street Journal and everybody else, there's more coming. When Jane Marin's on the case, let me tell you, she's on the case. And I don't think she's through with this, but it feels like from your reporting and reporting on this network that his nomination is, I'm sure, is in serious jeopardy. But watch out, because the next one up is not going to be much better, I promise you. But there's always more there when it comes to alcoholism or it comes to any kind of a sexual issue. You just don't do it once.
What does it tell you about the world we're living in? Your party just went through an election. People recognize you from all of your election commentary. We can get to that in a few minutes. But whatever the outcome was, the Republicans won. There was a lot of talk about how, oh, maybe the facts don't matter. Maybe reporting doesn't matter. Maybe they don't want it to matter. And yet with Gaetz and now Hegseth and Patel for FBI, who we can get to, it would seem that not only do some of the facts matter, that is, who are these people, what are their records, what are they credibly accused of, but even Republican senators have to respond to what's out there in the factual world. What do you think of that?
Look, I think that they pick a lot of these people just to irritate people like us. I have this standard. The more angst they cause Rachel Maddow, the more likely they are to pick that person. They're literally, they're driven by resentment, and people have to understand that. And if Hegseth goes down, as Gaetz certainly did, or the DEA guy, or the next person, you're not going to get George C. Marshall. I promise you. They don't have any intention of doing that. And I think they're just going to keep going in this direction. I really
your point being that unlike, say, some other presidents, including in the Republican Party, who tack back, if you stop a Matt Gaetz, you don't necessarily change the law enforcement.
No, you're not changing it, and they're going to say, I'm going to show them, I'm going to give them someone that is equally odious. They're not going to get some establishment defense guy or something like that. That's just not what drives them. They're driven by making money and resentment. And that is, and to not understand that is to miss exactly what they're doing. And if you look at their picks, if you look at Kash Patel, they're doing that just because it is so outrageous and so out of character with any kind of thing we've known as an FBI director, and that's why they do it. Same thing with Matt Gaetz, Attorney General. How you going to make this guy Attorney General under federal investigation for, childhood, whatever the allegations were, underage people? That's why they do it. They don't do it in spite of that. They do it because of that. And that's the thing that people miss. That's not a bug. That's a feature.
There's reporting that backs up what you're saying. Jonathan Lemire, our colleague who also writes for AP, he was talking about this, that it's these so-called lightning rod picks and that they're doing something very different than trying to pick governing. I want to play a little bit of this. Was on Morning Joe, what Jonathan Lemire said.
People I've talked to say this pick was a nod to the extreme right-wing portions of Trump base, the Steve Bannon, ultra MAGA sector here, who had been disappointed by some of Trump's more conventional picks, like, say, Treasury Secretary and Secretary of State. So this is Trump throwing them red meat because he knows he needs to keep them happy. But there are others in Trump world deeply worried about this pick, who feel like Patel is not only unqualified, but indeed dangerous. That Patel will never think twice, never hesitate in carrying out whatever Trump wants, even if it means potentially, people say, breaking the law.
So Steve Bannon does not drive this. One person is driving this, I promise you, and it's Tucker Carlson. Okay, Tucker's an old friend of mine, and there's nothing that I see.
Still friends.
Well, we hadn't talked to each other in a while, but I'm not. We were friends, but I'm not. But everything that I see is the same thing I heard in the green room in 2002. Okay, and J.D. Vance, Don Jr., Kash Patel was Tucker's business partner. I'm just telling you what's out there. Okay, and Tucker is 40 times more clever than Steve Bannon. He's 40 times more connected. He's also very connected with Elon Musk and everything else. And he's a very bright man who should not be underrated. But I think he has more influence in this current administration, way more than Vernon Jordan had in the Clinton administration or any other kind of wise men that were around. But Tucker is very, very, very powerful. And the Kash Patel pick proves that beyond any doubt at all.
Well, and it's important you're drawing those connections, which you may know about. Not everyone has heard about all this. There hasn't always been a light on this, and there was a lot of time during the election where people, especially people on Wall Street and so-called moderate Republicans, said, he doesn't mean it, you're overreacting, this is rhetoric. Well, all the rhetoric's becoming policy. I want you to stay with me. I do have an update and a breakdown here on Kash Patel. When you look at what's happening there on the Hill, you have the AG pick who replaced the nominee that already dropped out. Matt Gaetz was pushed out under pressure, but Pam Bondi meeting with senators. We can update you on that. That early loss may bolster the Republican senators' backbone if they want to hold the line on things. We have some pretty extreme and factually inexperienced people being put up for some of the biggest jobs in the land. Trump also made this holiday weekend announcement that he will, he says, fire the FBI director that he named in his first term when Trump gets back in office. Now, let's just be clear right here. It is rare and major to fire any FBI director. They serve 10-year terms. They're some of the only executive officials who serve in such a long term precisely to avoid partisanship when administrations change hands. I'm putting up on the screen to remind you what it was like when Donald Trump, then as president, fired then Director Comey. It was huge breaking news across all the networks, interrupting coverage. It was seen for what it was, as a grave incident. It sparked the whole Mueller special counsel probe, and the headlines treated the move as a big, suspicious attack on the rule of law at the time. I show you that tonight by way of reference, because here we are, and Trump has now flooded the zone with so many extreme moves that this planned firing of his chosen director, Wray, is treated as something like a smaller subhead to this story. Take Politico, and this isn't a political observation, just they're a D.C. outlet, and they say Trump picks Patel to lead FBI. We have entered a period where it has been partially normalized to do something that I can tell you literally has almost never happened in history since the post-Hoover Watergate reforms, which is yanking an FBI director in the middle of their 10-year term. Now, firing the FBI pick without even a stated cause, again, is not normal and should not be treated as somehow a good idea or a normal part of law enforcement leadership, even if it is what the duly elected president-elect chooses to do. Donald Trump wants a partisan warrior to carry out his agenda. So there are actually two rule of law issues in all of these headlines: the planned firing of the director and a replacement who's widely criticized by his own former Trump-era colleagues and by Republican veterans like Bill Barr and by independent experts and by Democrats and civil libertarians. Kash Patel is facing mounting critiques over the facts of his record.
That FBI nomination is arguably a more extreme nomination than the accused child sex trafficker guy Trump wanted to make attorney general.
It doesn't surprise me that he will pick people that he believes are very loyal to himself.
Profoundly unqualified.
I don't know him. I have read some of his comments.
He agrees with Donald Trump that the Department of Justice should serve to punish, lock up, and intimidate Donald Trump's political opponents.
This is not a drill, and this is not going from a Biden official to a Trump official, which is part of staffing a new administration. It's going from a Trump official to Kash Patel, one of the most criticized sort of extreme MAGA figures you could find, because apparently the Trump first term isn't good enough for what they have planned. James, it would seem this is big and different than just some of the other posts. You might be skeptical on the idea that the oversight or Senate process is going to do much with one-party control. But should people care about what I just said, which is the normalizing of this breach?
Of course they should care. I mean, it's the FBI, it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. My goodness, look at the National Intelligence Director. I mean, of course you should care. But the reason they're doing this is, you're right, it's not normal, and that's the reason they're doing it, because it's not normal. That's the objective, is not to be normal. And they don't have, best as I can tell, they don't have any intention of conformity or normalization or anything else that we've kind of known and expected out of the federal government. And the FBI, the FBI director is hugely influential in whether they open an investigation or close an investigation or what they do or what they don't do. We're going to find out just how influential it is. And maybe they'll, you know, Kash Patel, his logo is a K and then a dollar sign, Patel, which is kind of indicative of something now, isn't it? I don't know what, but
yeah, he hawks a lot of products. Some of them are scams. Yeah, he's a big, yeah.
But being a scamster is what they're looking for. I don't know, but the new attorney general nominee for designate, I've read somewhere where she's somehow involved in Scientology. Oh, maybe we ought to get Larry Wright to look into that, who is like the foremost authority on this. And I mean, we're going to get flooded. And I don't know if that's true about Miss Bondi, but I think I read that, I heard it, but be clear about that. But it's something that definitely needs to be looked in, and I think it will be looked into.
Well, and you have hearings, and you typically have FBI background checks to look at all of that. And we're tracing down everything and giving people the benefit of response. Right. As you may know, we do something a little old-fashioned at this table here at the Beat. We try to get everybody on. Right. And then we fact-check and discuss.
I know that.
So just last night, I had a former Trump official, who you might remember, Gordon Sondland, on.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And one of the defenses he makes of Trump now is what I mentioned earlier. He either says, don't take him literally, or you don't have to worry about that because he lies. And he argues, and you could call this a reach, or you could call it cynical, that the lies are part of the show. So just go with it. Here's how he makes that defense. Take a listen.
I don't believe for a second that Donald Trump is going to sell out Ukraine.
You mentioned whether Trump's going to sell out Ukraine. I mean, it's something he literally threatened to do before. Whether the threats go somewhere, right, we're all going to be tracking.
He also said people are eating dogs and cats, and they're not.
Right. So he So you're using his falsehoods to say, okay.
They're not falsehoods. They're Trump hyperbole. It's the show. I love the show.
Is that an acceptable defense over the next 4 years? How do you, as a Democrat, address that? How do you counter that?
Well, I won't pay attention to what he says. I'll look what he does. He actually appointed Matt Gaetz to made him the designate to be Attorney General of the United States. He actually said, I want Kash Patel to be the FBI director. He actually said, I want Tulsi Gabbard to be the director of national intelligence. He actually said that he wanted Pete Hegseth to be the DOD head. I mean, I don't have to. Some seems like a nice man. I think I've met him once or twice. I think he was in the hotel business. It's probably a pretty good business. He's either a fool or he's playing a fool on TV. I can't make up which one it is, but it's one of the two. I don't have to pay any attention to anything he says. Just look at what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
And I think that's fair. You're coming very close to calling the ambassador a fool on the hill, if you know that musical reference.
I mean,
do you remember that one? That's your era.
It's a
Beatles reference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when he was all tied up, I think he was the EU ambassador.
EU, and then he was a type of witness, yep.
But he's like a personable guy. But what is he saying? You're just sitting there saying something that either he just chooses not to believe or is just saying in spite of it, or maybe Trump will see that and believe him. But they keep saying that. Oh, don't worry, it's fine. He just does that. That's just showmanship. Look at Project 2025, which is nothing but a bunch of crackpots and second-rate academics, and they're going to be some of the most powerful people in the United States government.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I don't have anything to do with that. Okay, so they paid attention to him. And he gets in, look what he's doing. I think that Pastor Sunderland, you shouldn't pay attention to what he says. You should really pay attention to what he does. And what he's doing is so frightening, it's incomprehensible.
There you have it.
Oh, what else said? Thank you, my friend.
James Carville, on more than one topic. Yes, sir. Great to see you in person.
All right.
Let me tell folks what's coming up, because there are protests that have actually beat back martial law abroad, a playbook people may want to keep an eye on. We have that global update and Obama's favorite historian, Harari, back on the beat later tonight. But first, Howard Dean, the DNC chair race, something he knows about and has once won, is my special guest in 90 seconds.
Man, this looks really delicious. I would just like to say, yum, 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 yum.
What is happening?
Yum, 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 yum.
Just make it stop.
Want to get the most out of one sheet? Grab Bounty. Bounty is made to be stronger and more absorbent. So while ordinary brands can't hold up, one sheet of Bounty keeps working even when wet. Now that's the sound of value. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Do your dry eyes still feel gritty, rough, or tired? With MyBo, eyes can feel MyBo. MyBo is the only prescription dry eye drop that forms a protective layer for the #1 cause of dry eye, too much tear evaporation. For relief, that's MyBo. Remove contact lenses before using MyBo. Wait at least 30 minutes before putting them back in. Eye redness and blurred vision may occur. What does treating dry eye differently feel like? MyBo. For relief that feels MyBo. Ask your eye doctor about prescription MyBo.
The election's over. You know that. It's been a couple weeks. Everyone's sort of absorbed up to a point. People who are really into this stuff read all the postmortems and the op-eds and the breakdowns. Other people kind of move on to the holidays and maybe regroup and rejoin the news cycle in January. But Democrats have work to do. They are going to pick a new DNC chair. My next guest knows something about that. They are discussing what happened in 2024. The outgoing chair has a post-election memo that basically makes the defense. It argues Trump didn't get over 50% of the electorate, that there were global headwinds, meaning this was larger than Trump and the Dems, and that the historically small margin of victory here, which you see in the popular vote, is a reminder that, hey, with inflation and the Biden problems and the late entry into the race, Harris came up about 1.5 points short. Not good enough for the game, but definitely a decent result. That's according to the outgoing Democratic chair. Others, however, even within the party, say they have to look deeper for change.
The party of the people did not turn out the people.
We don't want someone who's a product of a party machine or an operative or a beltway guy. We need someone who just knows how to win.
It's really hard for Democrats to win battleground states. In every battleground state, there's more conservative than liberals.
We told you this identity was disaster. We told you to get out in front of public safety issues. You didn't. We told you to have an open process and demonstrate the magnificent and staggering and deep talent that exists in the modern Democratic Party. You didn't.
Democrats, oftentimes when we lose elections, we think that we lost people to Trump. And that is true in circumstances, but they don't look enough at the fact that we also lost people to the couch.
If you're an average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids. and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the Democratic Party?
Where is the Democratic Party? It's right here. Howard Dean ran the very literal party, ran for president, was a governor, a doctor, and is here to do a political autopsy, better than a real one. Welcome back.
Thanks very much for having me.
Great to have you. What do you think about all the above?
I think it's all blather. The real reason we haven't won is because we're not doing the on-the-ground stuff. You can't run a campaign starting on the ground with 4 months to go. And that's not a comment that Biden didn't get out early enough. You need 4 years. And for a long time, the Republicans have been knocking on doors, running for the school board, running for city council, running for the state legislature, and we haven't. And until we do, we're not going to win. Maybe we'll squeak by when we have a great candidate like Bill Clinton or Obama or somebody, but this is a losing proposition. And I don't agree with Bernie that we've turned our back on working people. The problem is we haven't shown up at their door until we want their vote, and that's a prescription for losing.
I didn't know you and Bernie Sanders ever disagreed.
I like Bernie. I think he's done a good job. We've had our fights, and as a
You've
Democrat,
had a few fights. Is that fair?
We've had plenty of fights, but I respect him, and he gives an important message, and I'm glad he's there. I mean, he does hold people to account. And the thing that I think in his long career that I like the most, other than some local stuff, like helping with the bike path, but the thing that I think is most remarkable is without Bernie, the community health centers wouldn't be in nearly as good shape as they are. Now they're falling off now, but he had his price for the Obamacare vote was $10 billion for FQHCs. That is something that had an effect on Americans that very few senators ever have.
And I make, only light reference to your guys' history, but if you look at, say, enthusiasm, and we've discussed this, you came into the party chair position, did some of the grassroots work you're talking about, but we can show you the optimism right now is fading. That makes sense after you take a tough loss. But 61% to 51% is a comparison there after the Trump wins. And again, I know you're going to say it's all noise, but some look at that as saying that Dems also need a different playbook, that the initial reaction to Trump the first time was a type of enthusiasm and energy. And right now it might be more of a fatigue.
I agree with that. And I think it's time we really got down. I mean, resistance sounds great, and it was effective in 2016. Now we actually have to do the work. And the work starts tomorrow. We need to support city council members, school board members, people for the state legislature, and they have to do it again and again and again. And it's going to take federal money to do that. I mean, what I always say about Washington is basically middle school on steroids. They work hard, they're smart, and it's all about them. It can't be all about them. You cannot build a party from Washington out. You have to build it in the states. And I know Jamie did put a lot of money into the states. And I actually think that the states party need more than money. They're going to need help on the ground. And there's groups that do this that sprang much often out of my campaign. Not that I was such a genius, but it was spontaneous. Move on. Run for something.
Sure.
These are all groups that get grassroots politics as a 4-year process, and then you start right the next day after the election, and then gradually you win.
And the group that came out of your online organizing, Democracy for America, Move On, you mentioned some of what happened with Obama. People talk about the podosphere, the pod space. One of the larger podcasts came out of the Obama movement. You had all those things. Now you have a lot of Democrats and the left on their back heels saying, oh, it feels like the podosphere, TikTok, the internet is sort of Elon, it's all swung out of their order. So I think you raised some interesting points there. Before I lose you, I wanted to mention we covered President Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden last night. We did a breakdown. We went into it. We had Jonathan Chait on, who's been very critical of Donald Trump, but also argued that the Democrats sometimes fall into a trap of just trying to say they, the party, Biden, whatever, are just, quote unquote, better than Trump, which he says is too low a bar. Take a look.
What he's done is not as corrupt as what Trump has done. Being better than Donald Trump may be enough for people to vote for you, but that's not a high enough standard to hold yourself to as president.
Your thoughts, and is there a crutch here now that it's 8+ years of a Trump shadow Democratic Party? The point he raises, or you think, no, that's overstating it?
Well, let me be clear. I support Biden's pardon, and here's why. Trump is going to pardon all kinds of people who tried to overthrow the government. And for Biden to do that, to screw his son, who got prosecuted for something that most people might get prosecuted for but wouldn't serve term for, and it was a political witch hunt for the benefit of the Republicans. So how'd you like to leave office not having what you could do for your son and then watch Donald Trump parade a series of convicts who try to overthrow the government through, and they all get pardons? So I don't think what Biden... Sure, in theory, not so good. In practice, he absolutely did the right thing for himself and for his family.
But the other point I raised, this habit of saying, well, which I'm not saying you just did it, but it's part of what happens. People say, oh, and compare it to Trump.
I'm just telling you what Trump was going to do, and I wouldn't want to be Joe Biden if I hadn't pardoned my son. I think, honestly, one wing of the party needs to defend the country against Trump, but the other wing of the party needs to focus on the long term, as I said earlier. This is not about fighting Donald Trump. This is how Trump wins. He becomes the center of attention, and all anybody talks about is Trump, which is why the liberal media actually hurt us this year, because they focused on Trump. Every outrageous thing he did, it was hard for us to get ink. We got to ignore Trump in some ways. We got to fight back against all his chicanery, but we've got to ignore him and focus on what the Democrats think is important. Yeah. And if we don't get that message out at the door, we're going to do this again 4 years from now for some other person who's not very well respected.
Straight talk. We appreciate it. Before I let you go, Howard, do you have time for a quick holiday fashion compliment?
Holiday fashion compliment for you?
For you.
For me?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah. Sure.
You dress like it's the Christmas season all year. And now December, it's your month. You got the sweater, you got the nice overcoat. I think this is your month to rock a fashion choice that we know you make most of the year.
No, it's very simple. After I more or less retired, I decided I was never going to wear a tie again unless I absolutely had to.
And yet you look great. 'Tis the season.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This coat, I want you to know, is 50 years old. I bought it when I was in college. Yeah.
Impressed. Do you know the brand? Show us the brand. Do you have the brand?
Yeah.
No?
I don't think so.
You're getting,
it
you know what
major.
They call that price per wear. Your price per wear is low and good if you've held it for 5 decades.
Well,
we'll see.
One of the reasons I got elected so many times is I am really careful with my money and other people's.
And other people's money.
I'm a fiscal conservative, but a flaming liberal on social issues.
Respect and happy holidays to Governor and
Thanks
Dr.
very
Dean.
much.
We
Same
appreciate
to you.
it. Absolutely, sir. I'll tell folks what's coming up. Obama's favorite historian, Harari, will be here by the end of the hour. We've got some interesting words from him. And overseas, street protests actually pushing back against the literal claims of martial law. We're going to explain this important story to you. But first, our special look at big business, high prices, corporate greed, and how people are actually pushing back right now.
An alternative to pills, Voltaren is a clinically proven arthritis pain relief gel which penetrates deep to target the source of pain with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medicine directly at the source. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Hey, grab more delectables. You know, that lickable cat treat.
Delickable delectables.
Yes. Just hurry.
Must be delicious.
Delectables, lickable treat. Deliciously delickable delectables.
What if your toothbrush could do the flossing for you? Waterpik Sonic Fusion lets you brush and floss with one device, transforming the power of water with precision pulse technology, removing up to 99.9% of plaque bacteria. Take control with Waterpik.
Attention, everyone on Medicare. This is it. Your call. The Medicare annual enrollment period is ending. Just call the number on your screen and get a free, no-obligation Medicare review. This is a free call, and there is no obligation to enroll. That's right. You can call the number on your screen, and you don't have to enroll in a plan. This is your last chance to call during the Medicare annual enrollment period. Time is up. Don't wait. Call now. Just call 800-781-2107 now. That's 800-781-2107.
Your record label is taking off, but so is your sound engineer. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
The only thing I don't like about payday is waiting for it. Chime lets you get up to $500 of your pay whenever you need it. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. I'm not waiting for payday anymore, and you shouldn't either. Join me at Chime.com and get paid when you say.
Custom Ink helps us motivate our students with custom gear. We love how Custom Ink takes care of everything we need so we can focus on the kids.
We make it easy to wow all your groups with high-quality custom apparel, accessories, and promo products, all backed by our guarantee at CustomInk.com.
My favorite babysitter is Annalisa. She's pretty good. She's like my grandma. She says, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" And then we go skateboarding.
From babysitters to nannies to daycare centers, find all the care you need at care.com.
Markets have been rallying since Donald Trump's win, and there are investors who see lower taxes on the horizon, other benefits like what Wall Street always wants, which is deregulation, fewer rules for banks and corporations. But how does that affect you and everyone else other than people who at the very top benefit from, say, these stock market gains? Well, there's high participation in holiday shopping now. Recent Black Friday has hit record numbers, a sign again of people partaking in these long lines and market activities. But some consumers are actually blowing the whistle on the ploys and lies that corporations are using to take advantage of shoppers who are simply seeking out deals or responding to what they believe to be the true sales claims of these big box stores. But some retailers are tricking consumers into thinking they're getting good deals. And in this era where people can hop online, push back on everything from politics to capitalism, we want to show you tonight how some consumers are taking control and blowing the whistle.
Y'all just took my price, doubled it, put a slash through it, marked Black Friday deal, and now my deal is the original price.
I'm in these stores 4 to 5 times a week with the work I do, and I didn't see anything special. Most of these prices you can get on a daily basis, if not even better.
I had like 25 things sitting in my cart for the last 2 weeks. As soon as the Black Friday sales hit, I was going to go into my cart. I was going to see my total drop significantly. The total was actually higher than it was before the Black Friday sales.
These are tricks, and people are using their own sort of technological power to call them out. And if you think about whether this is fair, some people say, well, you got to be just tough out there. You got to do your homework. No, we should have a fair society and market where people can get what they say they're getting. In other words, if you go to buy a Porsche, it should be a Porsche. And if you go to buy just some pasta and you flip over for the nutritional information, you expect that to be true. But that is partly because there are laws about that. Capitalism can be unfair and unethical. Price gouging on these things, including essentials like we saw in the pandemic, is a different level. Now, in a new study, one watchdog found that many Black Friday deals are basically lies. They analyzed 65 products and found that those ended up on sale for Black Friday, but 30% saw price hikes before, which means if this is too much text, you don't want to read it, they're lying to you. They're faking the price. Others show the receipts. Amazon had products with the largest price hikes. The famous Fire Stick doubled in price before Black Friday, which was just a trick to basically lie to you and then say you were getting a better price because they cooked the books. Now, those practices are under scrutiny. There's also a class action lawsuit that says the company misled shoppers by selling products at these types of inflated prices. And this happens across the board. Target under fire for offering very few deals, a lot of corporate greed, in play because many of these companies are making tidy profits. And that's before you get to the recent inflation era we've been over the past 2 years, where corporate leaders tout, separate from Black Friday, intentionally raising prices because people struggling through inflation have just gotten used to it.
Our sales gains were largely driven by higher average sales price. Average sales price trends reflect successful pricing strategies during the ongoing inflationary environment.
Consumers get used to it. When all prices go up, it helps.
Why would they admit that? Because they were bragging to investors on these so-called earnings calls, and they think maybe you won't hear about it. And nowadays, with so many people attacking facts, truth in the news, maybe they don't think you'll watch the news and then think about it the next time you go into their stores. It's misleading everyday Americans. Now, there are public leaders, lawmakers who've talked about trying to do something about this, and long before this recent Black Friday example that I showed you from TikTok. Take Bernie Sanders, who's urged Americans to expand union organizing, to save the middle class, to have rules that address what he calls corporate greed, a dynamic that has to change. And so tonight, as you think about everything else in this holiday season, you should keep in mind that you still have choices. And in between elections, you can do what I showed you some Americans did just this week and stand up and call out something that's wrong, whether it's in your government or in your capitalist markets, so that we together might make change. We'll be right back.
I have to find a babysitter.
I have a lot of questions.
When can they start?
Today? Now?
How about Saturday? Are they background checked?
My wife and I haven't been out in a year.
We need a date night. No offense.
Find all the care you need at care.com.
No peeking. Okay. Open.
Over 600,000 USPS employees working in sync to ensure everything sent on its holiday ride ends with a moment of joy. The United States Postal Service.
Leo. He's there when we wake up. He's there when we leave. He's there whenever we come back home from school. He's just there always. Mash it up, doofus.
Ever since we introduced him to the farmer's dog, his quality of life has been forever changed. He prefers real, human-grade food.
It's like real food. It is. He's a happy dog now.
He's a happy dog. He's a happy dog.
Shop Etsy's Cyber Spectacular until December 3rd for up to 60% off all kinds of gifts carefully crafted by small businesses. Save big on the perfect presents for practical parents. Cute and cuddly creations for kids. And other fetching finds made to make the holidays for any hard-to-shop-for person on your list. When you want up to 60% off gifts that say, I get you, Etsy has it.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again. Ask your doctor about Farxiga.
I feel like new sunglasses, like a brand new pair of jeans. I feel like taking chances. I feel alive. Brand new.
Find savings and support at Caplyta.com.
Did you know there's a detergent that gets your dishes up to 100% clean, even in an older dishwasher? Try Cascade Platinum Plus for sparkling clean dishes, even on the toughest jobs. Just scrape, load, and you're done. Switch to Cascade Platinum Plus.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again.
Farxiga.
Ask your doctor about Farxiga.
Kind of needs to be more squiggly. Perfect. So now, do you have a driver's license?
Oh, what did you get us?
With the click of a pen, you can get a new Volkswagen at the Sign Then Drive event. Lease a 2024 Tiguan for 0 down, 0 deposit, 0 first month's payment, and 0 due at signing. Limited inventory available.
At Humana, we believe your health care should evolve with you, and part of that evolution means choosing the right Medicare plan for you. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits, but you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan pays for some or all of your original Medicare deductibles, but they may have higher monthly premiums and no prescription drug coverage. Humana Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans include medical coverage plus prescription drug coverage with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. Most plans include coverage for dental, vision, even hearing, and there's a cap on your out-of-pocket costs. So call or go online today to see if there's a Humana plan in your area and to get our free decision guide. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends on December 7th, so call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
For plant-based healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand at Walmart that stands above the rest. It's Super Beets. Discover why more cardiologists recommend Super Beets for heart health support than any other beet brand at superbeets.com.
When I was diagnosed with HIV, I didn't know who I would be.
But here I am, being me.
Keep being you and ask your healthcare provider about the #1 prescribed HIV treatment, Biktarvy.
Biktarvy is a complete one-pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in many people, whether you're 18 or 80. With one small pill, Biktarvy fights HIV to help you get to undetectable and stay there, whether you're just starting or replacing your current treatment. Research shows that taking HIV treatment as prescribed and getting to and staying undetectable prevents transmitting HIV through sex. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare, life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Don't take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or rifampin. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines and supplements you take if you are pregnant or breastfeeding or have kidney or liver problems. If you have hepatitis B, don't stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your healthcare provider. Common side effects were diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
No matter where life takes you, Biktarvy can go with you. Talk to your healthcare provider today.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
One of Obama's favorite historians is Yuval Harari, author of the bestseller Sapiens, and now a timely brand new book about the dangers of political propaganda. It's called Nexus. It warns that lies are cheap while true knowledge is expensive, and it's a gap that autocrats have exploited in many nations' politics. Harari joins the beat to discuss all of that in this exchange airing for the first time.
You know, if you look at the U.S. today, maybe the only thing that Republicans and Democrats can agree on is that the democratic conversation is collapsing, is breaking down. People can no longer agree on even the most basic facts. They can't listen to each other. They can't hold a reasoned conversation anymore. And this is a bit strange because we now have the most sophisticated information technology in history, and people are losing the ability to talk with each other.
Yes.
And there are many explanations about what is happening in the US, something about US society or politics or history. But you see exactly the same thing is happening in Brazil, in my home country, in Israel, in the Philippines, in France. So it can't be some unique condition to this or that country. And the suspicion is that something is at fault with the information technology of our age, which is really destroying the democratic conversation. And democracy, in essence, is a conversation. Dictatorship is from dictate. One person dictates everything. Democracy is a conversation. For most of history, it was simply impossible to have large-scale democratic systems because there was no information technology that could enable a large-scale discussion between millions of people spread over vast territories. So the only examples of ancient democracies are very small scale. City-states like Athens or Rome, and even smaller tribes. All the big systems, all the kingdoms and empires are authoritarian. You begin to see large-scale democracies emerge for the first time in history, only in the late modern age, because of the rise of new information technologies like the newspaper and radio and television that make it possible for millions of people to hold a conversation in real time. So democracy is really built on top of information technology. And every time there is a major change in information technology, there is an earthquake in democracy, which is what we are feeling right now.
Your book is more descriptive than prescriptive. You're not telling people how to use the information networks for the most part. But if somebody smart read your book and wanted to have effective lie information networks, they would design someone like Donald Trump.
Maybe that depends on your view of the world. I think that what we've seen here, in some ways, it goes back to Karl Marx. There is something that Donald Trump is about power, that every time somebody says something, I'm not interested in the question, is it true or not, but only in the question of whose power is this serving, which is, again, destructive to the basic institutions of society that are, again, I said in the beginning that the truth is costly and rare. So if you imagine this ocean of information flooding society, and most of it is junk, most information is junk. Most of it is lies, fake news, conspiracy theories, delusions, illusions, because this is very cheap and easy to produce. And you have these rare gems of truth, which were very costly to produce. And how do we find them? So this is the job of institutions like journalism.
Like journalism. Most of it's junk, but there are rare gems of truth in science and reporting, and you can see that full interview at msnbc.com/ARI, where we post all of our highlights for you for free on YouTube. We'll be right back.
Still have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms after taking a medication like Humira or Remicade? Put them in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When symptoms try to take control, I got rapid relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares try to slow me down, I got lasting remission with Rinvoq. Check. And many were in remission, even at nearly 2 years.
And Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
Rapid symptom relief, lasting remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
Eggs make all our family moments better, especially when they're Eggland's Best. Taste so fresh and amazing, deliciously superior nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
Jen loved her Gain Hibiscus Hula Flings until Brad moved in and brought along a few new, exciting additions. And they discovered that when they mixed their scents, they were more than just soulmates. They were scentmates. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Now's the time to go back in time and shine a light on the family journey that led to you. Detailed DNA results, inspiring family history memberships. Now's the time to save at Ancestry.
For more than a decade, Farxiga has been trusted again and again and again. Ask your doctor about Farxiga.
Memory and thinking issues keep piling up? It may seem like normal aging, but could be due to a buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. The sooner you talk to your doctor, the more options you may have. Learn more at amyloid.com.
The government thought that showing the world separations, they would scare people that were attempting to come from coming.
It troubles me profoundly that it could happen again.
Rachel Maddow presents Ultra. The award-winning podcast is back. Binge the chart-topping second season that listeners give 5 stars. Rachel Maddow presents Ultra, Season 2. Listen now.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base.
That's what Grandpa used to play.
When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Captions service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on how to use your phone, all at no cost to you.
Give your loved ones the independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you.
Call 1-800-403-7539. That's 1-800-403-7539.
Tonight we have a quick and simple visual update for you on all of these cabinet picks we've been tracking, because if you feel like more have left earlier than usual, you are correct. 2 to drop out before hearings even began is unusual. Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz withdrawn and replaced by Pam Bondi. You see it just next to him. And tonight, the DEA nominee also withdrawing. There are other embattled nominees. In fact, the story that Nicole and I were discussing 1 hour ago is how the third person that could withdraw would be, according to some Senate Republicans, defense pick Hegseth, as 6 Senate Republicans are privately saying, without releasing their names, that they now oppose him. As always, you can follow me at Ari Melber. In fact, we've just posted that graphic on Instagram. So if you go to @Ari Melber, you can find it. You can share it or look at it if you want to track the news that way. And you can always connect with me personally at arimelber.com and sign up for my newsletter. Thanks for joining us. The Readout with Joy Reid starts now.
Tonight on The Readout.
With the axe, who's going to win this battle with the lumberjack?
Ouch, that was Pete Hegseth several years ago, missing the mark with an axe. on Fox and Friends. And tonight, NBC News has new reporting that some current and former Fox colleagues said they smelled alcohol on his breath many times, as his support in the Senate may be waning. Also tonight, Kash Patel would be the first FBI director to enter office with a published enemies list. Andrew Weissman, one of the people on that list, joins me tonight. Plus, an old mobster tactic is playing out in North Carolina. It goes like this. When Democrats win at the ballot box, Republicans move quickly to strip them of their powers. But we begin tonight with President Biden, who is not in the U.S. today, but rather at the National Museum of Slavery in Angola, addressing the origin story of America and slavery.
Cruel, brutal, dehumanizing,